airstrike over on that opposite side. Copy.
What's up everyone, Talon from Burnout Town here. What's up everyone, Talon from the Airsoft headquarters here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about some of the newer projects that I have been teasing on the social medias, specifically about the SD6 series that we have here. So if you've not been following along, we have been working very diligently on one of these little 3D printed adapters here. And you're probably wondering to yourself, Talon, what's so great about these 3D printed adapters? Well, first of all, let me preface this by saying the SD6 specifically has been on the airsoft market since 2017. So as of time of recording, that has been 5 years, a little over 5 years, that these have been on the market. And in that time frame, no one has thought, wouldn't it be great if there was some type of very convenient way for me to attach some type of mock suppressor of my choosing or some type of trace unit of my choosing, so on and so forth. And no one, of all the guys that are not only local but also online that like to boast of their 3D printing prowess and their creativity, and while some of these prints and creations of theirs are very creative, there's a lot of really talented 3D printers out there, especially around the airsoft world. But for some reason, it has escaped everyone this idea of mine. And so very recently we've had the Elite SD6, which is the metal body variant. This one I've been waiting very long for, this model specifically, just probably because all my MP5 guys love the SD6 aesthetic, and I prefer something that is going to be a little bit heavier weight. So that's why I've been waiting ever so patiently on a metal SD6, which is why this project has kind of evolved and came to fruition very recently. It's not been an ongoing project. But what I have here is I have so many prints now that I'm starting to lose control. So these are my spares. Okay, these little 3D printed adapters are intended so that you can remove the mock suppressor that comes on the MP5. So you can take your thread adapter, lock it on, and now you have some type of way in order to attach a mock suppressor of your choosing. Now this is a double-ended, so of course I tried to attach it the wrong way, unless I'm just really stupid and had it right the first time. I'm just really stupid. So just like this. Now again, some of you may be thinking, Talon, green is such a stupid color. Why would you go with green? Well, green is just the current edition of the print testing that we're going to be doing. We intentionally chose a lighter color so that it could stand out, so that in the video that we're doing today, which is stress testing the current edition of the thread adapters or lug adapters, we'll be able to see any type of emphasis of cracks, breaks, stress marks, so on and so forth. With the previous edition, the version 1 through version 1.2, we had them printed in black because that was the filament that we had available. And I actually ran those adapters at Ship of Fools very recently, and no one noticed that I was running this guy. So we're going to be testing these out, and you guys will be able to see very easily if something breaks or stresses out. But I prefer this method not only for a retailer and a distributor of the SD6, but also as a longtime player. I don't exactly like the idea of having to modify the existing suppressor or trying to modify the current lug that is on the SD6. Over the years, it has been very common practice to take the SD6 mock suppressor, cut it up, and destroy it in such a manner to where you could put a trace unit inside there. Pretty simply, you know, the mock suppressor that clearly says do not destroy on it, we accidentally did destroy by dropping it one or two many times. And so now we can demonstrate that the entire center core of the mock suppressor, or the base, has a core running the entire length. So not only do you need to carefully break the base in order to get access to this, but you also need to cut this core away so you can place a tracer unit inside of here. And of the tracer units that are currently on the market, there are very few that actually are spaced perfectly. So you have to modify the mock suppressor, the tracer unit to get everything to fit, and then you have to lock it all back together and try to make sure that it stays in one piece when it gets locked on like so. And as demonstrated, it can come off relatively easy because, it's broke. Now, we have sacrificed several of these mock suppressors in order to get the proper dimensions and sizes that we want. So the current ones that have been sacrificed have not been sacrificed in vain. I am extremely confident that you guys will be impressed as the player base. And excuse me as I try to put this handguard back into place because I didn't lock it down. I'm extremely confident that you guys will thoroughly enjoy this mock suppressor or this lug adapter system because of the amount of stuff that you can now do to it. So you can just, if you prefer a specific type of tracer unit, like I prefer the Ace-Tech Bifrost, or if you would like to do the super long SD model for whatever reason, you can do that. And what we're trying to do is we're also trying to incorporate these in order to fit some of the older SD6 models, the competition series specifically, that are on the market. Although we do need to make some type of refinements as far as those ramp measurements internally, but I'm confident that we will get them to work. And obviously, we've also noticed that with the competition series, the wings of the lugs do change a little bit more drastically in difference of sizes. So if there's ever a chance where it gets stuck like this, put your tracer unit or mock suppressor on all the way to the base and give it a full pull off. Compared to the current production of SD6 competition, which this was from the most recent order from Elite Force. Put that on and it will go on like so. So the current production of competitions work and are compatible with the current version 1.3s that we have here. We will need to drastically increase the ramping for older school SD6s that we have here. So that being said, let's get into proper stress testing. But first, let's don our science equipment. All right, more energy. So first test, we're gonna make sure that fitment is correct and in line, everything's perfect. So we're gonna be shooting at a cardboard target at approximately 35-40 feet. We're gonna do multiple shots between the multiple different type of mock suppressor lengths, with and without the adapter, obviously, so we can have a baseline, a control, so on and so forth. So with that being said, I've got a GoPro here that will be able to record shots. Granted, my red dot isn't exactly hooked up or isn't zeroed perfectly, so we're gonna do the best that we can with what we have. Anyway, let's get into it. First, iPro, and we're gonna be shooting without the mock suppressor on there, just we have a steady baseline, and what I'm looking for is no crazy inconsistencies. No crazy inconsistencies. Mock suppressor on, new area of the cardboard. Now, let's further testing by increasing hop up most of the way up. Not quite all the way up, because I think all the way up was a little too much. So without, no problem. Let's go all the way, just to make sure it works. And we're gonna turn that down. No issues. We're gonna put the can on with hop all the way on. No problem. Now, we're gonna keep hop all the way on, and we're gonna use my Ace Tech Bifrost. No bounces, no crazy deflections. So the adapter with the Bifrost passed. We're gonna move my water out of the way. Passed. Hey, get out of the shot. There we go. All right, where you at? Passed. Now, the medium length suppressor. Again, with hop all the way on. Shots off to the side. No crazy deflections. Passed. All right. The mega overcompensation mock suppressor. I mean, at this angle, it's almost outside of the frame. I'm gonna put this on tight so that there's no crazy wobbles or movements. And here we go, looking for deflections. I mean, really, with how long this is, you would think that there would have been a deflection. So I'm gonna go off to the side, and I'm gonna shoot the 100 feet and just make sure there's no deflections. It's not deflecting. What the crap? And this is hollow, so the BBs would have been catching if it was overhopping and there was any type of issues. So no problem, no problem, no problem for whatever reason. So even with hop all the way maxed out, using, I'm assuming 2 5s, no problems. So BBs going through mock suppressor straight, passes. So the next test is going to be a over tightening test. Now, with it being 3D printed and being a plastic type of material, this one specifically is going to be the PLA Plus. I thought it only fair that we check to make sure, using the mock suppressors and trace units, to see just how tight you can thread them before they actually start to break. Let's first attempt, because I did it by accident, let's attempt to cross thread this, which is very much something that you don't want to do. And I'm being very excessive with my tightening. Of course, oh no, cross thread, uber bad. You can actually see like how hard of an angle that is right there. So that took a very bad cross thread. There's a lot of filament on the inside here. So let's try to reconnect the correct threads by holding them somewhat together. And no, just when I think it's found the correct thread, the cross threading, I guess, was that's starting to look straight, but it may still be cross threaded. Let's continue to twist here. It certainly looks cross-threaded, but it's so close. It feels like it's wrong, but it's going on like it's right. Ooh. Okay, so this is now flush. So it did go on straight. The cross-threading accident actually did mess it up. So now that we've got it all the way to the base, I'm not saying I'm the strongest man, but I do go to the gym pretty regularly. Okay, this is on there pretty good. Tape so I don't continue to mess my base up, because this is a new base for my Bifrost. All right, so that's back to loosened. So everything there as far as the color has been completely deformed. while there are threads, the threads have been so chewed up by over tightening and cross threading that they don't look good at all. Let's do it one more time. Okay, so it essentially just made new correct threads. So you can still get back to the base. You can still go finger tight. Obviously you only want to go finger tight. You don't want to like over crank it. But if you are someone who does over crank, or you know someone who over cranks, will this work for them? Still chewed up. Nice and chewed up. Let's put them in a vise. Can we get this to the point of popping? He wonders. Oh my God. And now here's where I'm starting to deface my my Bifrost adapter. Oh, and the entire base came out. So here we had a complete separation. And now that's stuck in there. But you know what? The fact that I had to take it to the vise in order to twist it all the way off, pretty substantial. I did get it off, but it took a lot of work. So good news is that it does unscrew out. Very good that it still has the threads in order to come out like this. I was really scared that the threads would have been completely stripped flush so that it wouldn't have any way to come out, and I would somehow need to like potentially melt this plastic out, which would, you know, destroy the O-ring on this adapter. Oh, but there we go. Little chewed up, little messed up, but it you know, it's still got some threads on it. Welcome to part 3 of the testing process. So we've already tested the actual fitment, sizing, everything. Well, at least a fitment. Fitment is correct. Fitment works like it's supposed to. We also tested the torqueness, how tight you can go with tracer units, mock suppressors. So you can go excessively tight. And obviously you don't want to be excessive. So this test, we're going to check at what point, poundage wise, because we don't have an actual number, is it really for science? And if all this seems a little bit too excessive, then that's kind of the point. Because if we don't know what the limits are, how can we best build a product for not only myself, but for you guys as well? Because this intentionally, or originally was my idea, because I wanted to put something on an SD6. So anyway, let's get some actual scientific data for you guys. Now, so what I've done here is I'm gonna put a string, piece of 550, as close to the end as possible without it slipping. I'm gonna start to apply force here, and I have a little force calculator somewhere. It's either on my person or it's somewhere. It's somewhere. And I'll start to apply force here and tell you what the number is when it actually breaks. I'm gonna go to the point where it breaks, and that will be our scientific data. And obviously we have different lengths up above here, so we'll have different measurements, because as you elongate it, it's going to require less force in order for that to snap. So it's something you need to be aware of. The shorter your attachment is, the more force or torque that will need to be applied in order to break something. And so that's something that we're going to demonstrate and test. So let me actually go get my little pulley meth thing. Safety first. Okay, here we go. Oh, hit 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Oh. And that broke at 48 and a half-ish pounds. So that took a lot. I'm glad I didn't bust my knuckles on that. Holy shit. Okay, let's, my Bifrost is, okay. And that is why I test or use the products that I use, because I know they're gonna handle excessive force with how I treat them. Actually, let me put this on something that's not going to fall and get a wrench and take that out. Okay. As close to the end as possible, looping around this direction, turn it off, turn it on, so we can reset our 0 value. All right, and here we go. A little bit closer to the edge here. So that's 10, 15, 20, 25. That looked like 26 and a half. So what did we learn? We've learned that, what did we learn? I don't know. It took 26 pounds in order to break that. Twice the length, half the amount of force. So then, twice the length, this should get 13, hypothesis of 13 pounds of force getting applied up here before it breaks. So let's give this a try. 5, 10 pounds. That one was around 12. So pretty close to my estimate, pretty close. We did a little bit of work on these V1.3s as far as including a little bit more length and a little bit more ramp in order to further support that spot right there. So we did, I think, at least my engineer, my 3D printing engineer, told me that we added some extra reinforcement. So keep that in mind. Now I'm sure you guys are asking yourselves, Talon, all of this information is fine and dandy, but what were to happen if I'm running it indoors or outdoors for that matter, and it just gets lit up from the side? What would happen? Would a BB start to break it? Would it start to shatter? And this was a very critical test that I had in mind, given that I've experienced something similar to this. And I've made sure to save that for the very end because of now all of the bodies that I have that are otherwise useless. So what we're going to do is we're going to shoot at these guys with varying rifle systems, pistol systems, and we're going to look at what, if any, damage gets placed onto the bodies themselves. I just need a little bit of time in order to get the actual thread portions out of the inside here. I'll just grab stuff and I'll start shooting at these guys. What do you say? Let's go do that. All right. We're gonna start with a pistol, green gas. No marks. Nothing. Nothing. AK guy is going to shoot with AK for gas blowback, 2 O's. Get up close. No breaks. We're starting to get some blemishes and small dots, but nothing as far as breaks or fractures or anything like that. Okay, next is 380 FPS AEG, the MP5. The BBs are actually fracturing on the adapter here, and they're bouncing in shards to hit me. Point blank look like. Nothing. I think bolt action is gonna be next. Just over 400, I think 410.
Yeah, that broke a chunk off of it.
Did it?
Not big, but.
Oh yeah, it is breaking into the interior.
Yeah.
So it is, interesting.
Back. That cracked it. Nope, never mind, that's fine.
So to keep with the science-y theme, there's fractures on this side, Nothing on this side, but nothing's happening right here. For the sake of science, we're marking down things. So this is 450 feet per second with a Kythera. One of those BBs actually came back and hit me pretty hard in the forehead. But otherwise, nothing is happening on the side. There are no fractures and breaks or anything happening. I have there a freshly painted piece of metal, just so you guys can see how much this is shooting. It's enough to break multiple layers of spray paint on a piece of tin, but it's not enough to actually break the print itself. Overall, this print is doing really good. So, front face with a gas blowback. Nothing. Gas blowback, AK.
Yeah. Third crack, or third shot cracked it.
Okay, we did get a crack. It took multiple shots at point blank from about 5 feet away. All right, I took 20 total shots, and there are definitely blemishes, but nothing as far as cracks or fractures. Yeah, nothing. From an AEG, that was 10 collective shots. There we actually did have a break. Some of that material's on my hands. So we're gonna swap it out. Now granted, it was already stressed from previously. But we're gonna swap it, we're gonna get a fresh one, and then we'll shoot with something faster. Okay, bolt action rifle. Nothing. 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 Oh, number 4, number 5 shot, we did have a break. So we'll swap that out for our very last one to shoot. And here we go, front face. And I'm out of BBs, that is. What I'm noticing is that on the outer diameter, nothing is getting through because that's where most of the material is. Once we actually get towards that inner diameter, that's where most of the breaks and fractures are happening. And I was intentionally trying to aim for that, but it looks like I was just off. Outer diameter, point blank. Nothing. Inner diameter. On the second shot of that inner diameter, we did have a break. It took 2 shots to actually get it to start to deform, but it didn't actually break and fracture. Or it did fracture, but it didn't like completely break away, but it is very heavily deformed. There, third shot, we did have a clean breakaway. So what was the big learn? What was the big takeaway of this demonstration specifically? First of all, extremely well built already for the current version. Now, I will give these to my 3D printist engineer guy, and he may have some type of insight as to if there's a way to further develop these to make them a little bit more hardy. But in my opinion, right now, these are extremely well built for the material that we are utilizing, for how he designed them right away. For version 1.3, in version 1.3.1, which is just widening the bore of these guys. Overall, very, very well built. Very resilient. It takes an excessive amount of force. Keep in mind that this is multiple layers right here of spray paint onto weldable steel. And that is an example of the amount of force required in order to start to break these guys within the fewest amount of shots possible. Like that of force on the exterior edges, the exterior face could not break these. Now on the front face and the rear faces, that's, yeah, where we did have most of those failures, most of the cracks and fractures. But if you're using a specific mock suppressor, like the middle length that I had out, but if you're using like a smaller tracer unit, like a Bifrost or a UVT 106 2.0, it takes an excessive amount of velocity, an excessive amount of energy in order to start to break the face of these guys. So I'm incredibly impressed. Now, what I'm thinking right now is I'm gonna send a couple of these to Elite Force, and they can decide if they wanna ship those to any local players that they know or whatever, or if they wanna keep them for themselves and do further testing for themselves. We're gonna make one final rendition. We're gonna make some changes to the interior ramp to make it a little bit easier for those older SD models to be utilized in conjunction with these adapters, or really adapters to the older SD6s. And that's really gonna be it. As of right now, I think that they are currently in a final production stage, other than that one rendition, and I'm incredibly impressed. Granted, I can't take all of the credit for this project. While I was the one that managed the project and kind of got everyone to do what they were supposed to do, and brought this to fruition, most of the credit should go to the guys that are actually able to creatively use the programs for this in order to get the machines to work fluidly, because I know that I cannot work with 3D printers at all. It is definitely a creative skill, one that is very impressive to see when you know, these fun projects are coming together. And I'm so happy that the SD6s can finally have a tracer unit or a mock suppressor, other than the ones that originally come with them. So we will leave a link in the description down below. I'm hoping by the time this comes out that we will have a final production available on our website. The final version will not be in green. We may do some in green. We will do multicolor prints, but I think that the majority of the demand is going to be in the color black. But we will do green. I bought blue, navy blue, so we'll have like a darker blue to go with. We'll do pink, we'll do some yellows, so on and so forth. Maybe we'll do like a rainbow PLA plus in order to get like a little rainbow effect. But we're having fun with this, and we may have some further projects in mind. But as of right now, this is what we have. No pricing as of thus far, but you can follow the link down below to the website and you can pick one up for yourself if you so choose. But this was final testing on not the final one, but the second to final. But yeah, if you were impressed, if you have an SD6, if you know someone who has an SD6, pick these guys up. I think they're gonna be fairly expensive, but I don't know. But with that, if you guys have any further questions, put them down into the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them. But with that, we are all set. So you guys take care, stay safe, stay positive, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.